Today I'd like to teach you how you can code rock, paper, scissors where you'll be playing against the computer, and we're going to be coding that in C++. So let's go ahead and get into that. Okay, the first thing you're going to need is to include your preprocessor directives. So we're going to be using iostream. We're going to be using C standard library. Going to be using C time. We're also going to be using string, lowercase. Okay, and we're also going to be using namespace, standard. Okay, so those are all our preprocessor directives. We're going to need C standard library and C time to generate our random seed for the computer for their choice. And we're also going to need string because when we prompt the user to enter their choice, it will be in the format of a string. Okay, before we get into the main function, let's go ahead and outlay our function prototypes. So the first function is a num generator function. Num generator, and that accepts no arguments but returns an integer, which is that random seed that I was just talking about. So let's name these function prototypes. Okay, we're also going to need a choice converter function, which is going to return an integer. Convert choice converter, and that's going to accept the string that the user enters when they are prompted. And the string, it'll be, it's going to ask like, are you entering rock, paper, scissors? They'll enter the actual string rock, paper, scissors, and we're going to try to convert that into a 1, 2, or 3. 1 being rock, 2 being paper, 3 being scissors. And we're also going to need a void function that displays the computer's choice. So display computer function. And that's going to accept an integer, which is the integer that was returned here. Okay, we're also going to need a winner function. And the winner function accepts the user's choice as well as the computer's choice. And those are both going to be integers, so we can make a direct comparison between two numbers. Okay, let's get into our main function here. Okay, let's go ahead and declare our variables that we're going to need for this program. So the first thing right off the bat, we're going to need a user choice variable, which is the string, which is in string format. These are our variables. And we're going to need two integer variables named user quiv, and that'll be the integer that we're going to store the results of calling the choice converter function. And we're also going to need a computer choice integer variable. Com choice. Okay, so now that we have our variables, the first thing that we want the program to do is display a line asking them to enter their choice. So we're going to say, please enter your choice of rock, paper, or scissors. Okay, so this is where we prompt the user. Okay, and then that's going to be followed by a cin statement where the result of them entering rock, paper, or scissors will be stored in our user choice variable that we just declared above. And we're also going to need another line so it can kind of just confirm the user's choice after they've entered it. so that they know it's working. So we're going to say you chose, and then user choice. Okay. And that'll be it for the main function until we actually move on with the function calls, which we'll do last after we finish those functions. So we've got our main function. Let's go ahead and move down to the num generator function. So num generator, again accepting no parameters, and open curly brace, close curly brace. Okay, so to accomplish generating a random number, we're going to need the following code lines. Unsigned seed equals time 0, and we're going to use the srand function for that seed. And then moving down, we'll do new rand, make a new variable named new rand, which will contain that randomly generated number, equals, calling that rand function right there that we just made, and then 3 minus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And the reason we're using 3's and 1's here is because 1 is the minimum choice you can enter, and 3 is the maximum, because there are only 3 options. And after we've generated that random number, we need to return that random number back to the place that it was called. Okay, that's it for the num generator function. Moving down to our next function, we have the choice converter function. So int choice, again, it is taking in that string variable that the user enters into in the main function, and we're going to name that dummy1, which is equivalent to the user choice that is being passed into the function when it's called. Let's get open curly brace, close curly brace. Okay, now for this function we're going to need to declare another variable inside of it, which is named the num_equiv, and we're going to end up returning this variable at the end of the function. So we're going to need 3 testing statements since there are 3 different options. The first being if dummy1 is equal to rock, then num_equiv, that variable we just declared, will be equal to 1. And if that's not true, we move down to another if statement that tests if dummy1 is equal to paper, and if dummy1, let's get rid of the space here, and if dummy1 is equal to paper, then num_equiv will be equal to 2. And if that's not true, we'll move down to the last one, which is if dummy1 is equal to scissors, then num_equiv will be equal to 3. And after all of those have been tested, we're going to return the now updated num_equiv variable. So we're going to say return num_equiv, and that's our choice converter function. Third of the fourth function third of 4 functions, which is the display computer function. Display computer. And that's going to be accepting the integer value that is generated in this new rand variable and returned to the main function where it is called. So once we've got that, once we've made that function, the first thing we want to do is write our first if statement. And it'll be a similar format to the function that we just completed, the choice converter function, in the fact that it will have 3 if statements to test, and it'll return it'll return which option the computer chose. However, we'll be testing whether dummy 1 is equal to 1, 2, or 3 instead of rock, paper, scissors. So it's kind of flip-flopped. So if dummy 1 is equal to 1, then we're going to see out the computer, capital T, chose rock. Right? Because if it's 1, then it's equal to rock. If it's 2, it's paper. 3, scissors. Okay, let's actually get a new line in there. Copy this, save some work. Okay, moving down. We're going to test a second condition that tests whether dummy 1 is equal to 2. If dummy 1 is equal to 2, then we're going to say that the computer chose paper. And this could be else if. And if neither of those are true, then we move down to the last one, which is else if dummy, oh, this needs to be dummy 1. Else, this is also going to be an else if. Else if dummy 1 is equal to 3, then we're going to say that the computer has chosen scissors. And that's really all we need for that function. We just want to display to the user what the computer has chosen, so they know that the program is working efficiently. And that's the display computer function.